Okay, hello and welcome to the stream. I forgot to get everything properly set up. Oops, oops. I knew there was something I was forgetting to do. Is that gonna capture that window? Yes. Okay. So. The stream's running very slowly this time for some reason. I do not know why. I like the forgetter. Emily, welcome to the stream. And the chat's not working, but I expected this. I have the fake chat in there. Yeah, for some reason, I actually have no clue why it's running so slowly. That's weird. Hang on, let me do what I can. I'm gonna try and reload the web page. Okay. Let's see, presentation mode. Okay. And let me just reorder one or two things. And then I will begin. Sorry for a slight delay. Okay. There we go. It's running very slowly again. That's weird. I'm probably just gonna have to not I'll just not use VTube Studio this time. Where's my... Is this it? No. Is this it? There we go. That's the wrong one. Okay, let me... Unless it wasn't running slowly for you guys, but I feel like it probably was. Let me make this the correct size because it's way too large right now. It was. Yeah. It shouldn't be that much longer before I can buy a graphics card, and then my stream quality should get much better. Keep a jump scare. So true. Okay. Is there any other reordering I need to do? I want to have this about there, and maybe put that up more like that. Yeah, that should be pretty good. Okay. So I want to mention this before I actually start, that um, for those who haven't seen my previous Tierlist streams, try not to be, an annoying baby about it. Like, yeah, surprise, surprise, you and I aren't going to agree on everything. I'm not saying that I'm objectively right, because there is no objectively right on something like this. This is just my opinion of what mobile suits I think look the coolest. I'm not saying these are objectively the best. I'm not saying they're the most powerful. This is just what looks the coolest to me. So, to start off, we have the Turn A Gundam. Foxy, welcome to the stream. It's been a while since you're able to make it. It's nice to see you. But yeah, the Turn A Gundam is one that, honestly, the first time I saw the design, I didn't even really like it. Late enough and you're off today. Nice. Yeah, I had to, because of my own work, I had to make the stream way later than normal. But it worked. But as far as the Turn A, at this point I really like it. Particularly the shape of the legs and the feet are great. I also like the details of the hand. The way the hand plate is shaped, the way it's very curved, is very nice. The shoulders are perhaps a bit odd, and the torso still looks kind of odd to me. But one thing that I've grown very attached to that I didn't expect to, because I did not like it at first, is the mustache. At first I didn't like the mustache, but you don't get to hate Turn A anymore? Yeah, it's because Turn A is really cool. But yeah, I've grown very fond of the Turn A, and I'm going to put it in... Considering the other things that we've got here, I think... Well, I'll put it in S for now. The G-Self is also fairly divisive in the community. A lot of people really don't like the G-Self. But for me, the G-Self was, like, it was love at first sight. I loved this design the moment I saw it. Sprockets, welcome to the stream. But some highlights of the design for me are the big eyes. I love big eyes in mobile suits. The cockpit is nice, and also overall the way that it tends to use these gentle curves. The thrusters here on the sides of the knees are amazing. And then overall the way it's proportioned is also very, very nice. I really, really like the G-Self. It also, the way that it uses a somewhat lighter color of blue makes it seem a little less boring compared to some other mobile suits that are maybe a little bit more traditional in Gundam color schemes, which is, most Gundams. Hate the chest vents. I understand where you're coming from with that, and on any other mobile suit I think I would, but with specifically this one, it just works. So that I like actually more than the Turn A. I really need a high grade G-Self. I do have a high grade Turn A, and I actually switched out the beam sabers for master grade ones. And following with yet another, the first four are all going to be very divisive mobile suits that the fan base tends to be very divided on. And next is the G-Self Origin. And I'm like, I understand why it is the way it is from an in-universe design standpoint, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. The really neat locked knee Kumino Kawada standing pose makes it worse, I feel. But it's just it's way too skinny. And then the ribbed chest, not chest but waist, looks very odd to me. And then the head doesn't fit the body at all. It sort of ends up almost looking like it's wearing a diaper, which some people have said about all mobile suits. For instance, like the RX-78 but on those I don't really see it. On this one though, I do. And then the ball joints could. I'm sort of split on that, but it sort of just like doesn't work with the rest of it on this particular mobile suit. So this one I'm going to put in D tier. It just looks horrid. Yes, admittedly, it looks better in the live action CG that it was actually originally rendered in. But yeah, I put it in D tier for a reason. And next, another, like I said, another very divisive one, the Gaia Gear Alpha. A lot of Gundam fans don't seem to know about Gaia Gear, and a lot of the ones that do don't seem to know that it is Gundam. It takes place at around the same time as G-Savior, but in a something of an alternate continuity. With a clone of Char named Afferente Char. This one, yes. Normal robot. Yeah. Indeed. But this one I actually really, really like. Especially the face and the overall, it's done in a very, what's the phrasing? Unconventional style. But where unconventional often ends up, being bad in the end. In this case, it's great. And I'll put it, I think, right in between the two. I like it very similar to in amount to the G-Self, so I might end up putting it above the G-Self eventually. But for now, I'll keep it right where it is. Next is the Janam. Kind of has Yakushiki vibes mixed with the Dove and Wolf style silhouette. Yeah, which I also do feel works well for the fact that it's it's Char. That the clone of Char is referred to as Afferente Char. But yeah, it really does, and it does transform, which makes sense considering the Hyakushiki was based on the Delta Gundam, which was transformable. But yeah, I love this, and I really need to read Gaia Gear. But as far as the Janaham, this is specifically the normal type. I'll be not including the space type because I decided to include the normal type instead. This is Ippei Gyobyo doing what I think he does best, which is making things that are really weird. And I'll touch more on that later. But this honestly kind of really reminds me of the Doomslayer. And not just because it's green, but if you look at things like the way that the like weird visor thing is shaped, it's quite similar to the Slayer's helmet. It does look quite a bit like his Praetor armor, while also having some Zaku vibes to it. And I think, honestly, considering I really like a lot of things here, for now I'll put it in B. Okay, next, actually that shouldn't be here yet. I don't want to talk about that yet because I just think it would be better to have that a bit later. This thing, the Dochadi. This is another Gaia Gear thing. Words cannot express how much I love this. This looks like a cross between Armored Core and a Lev from Zone of the Enders. And it's so great. If these were parts in Armored Core, the only thing I would change probably is the head because it doesn't quite suit my style that well. But I absolutely adore this design. This design here primarily has convinced me to read Gaia Gear as soon as I can. And it's going to go right at the top. Okay. Next is the Elmoran. This thing is It's got an odd vibe to it. Almost like, in some ways, bug-like, and in other ways, sort of ape-like. Lots of curves. Some Dom inspirations for sure. Beautiful purple thing. From my point of view, it's just like somewhat okay purple thing. I do like the vents here on the legs and the shoulders, but especially on the legs it works well. And the general shape of the chest works well with the rest of everything while also looking quite nice. I do really like these backpack mounted thrusters. They look very nice. This one I will put probably in C for now. There's a lot of things in this tier list I really like, but the guy trash. This thing is interesting. With its like beam veil, I think it was called. I'm seeing some like Hygog, or not Hygog, some like Akai inspiration here, but it's got like, you know, that whole beam thing, which is almost Stargazer like pumpkin. It is a pumpkin. I was trying to actually, yeah, you're completely right. I was trying to remember what it reminded me of, and that's exactly what it was. It's a pumpkin. I do really like its legs, almost down to the Ender's vibes there, but like overall, it's got like a somewhat some of the like design aesthetics of it clash in a way. And overall, I'm gonna be honest, I'm it's just too weird. I'm not a fan. So I'm gonna have to say that the guy trash is unfortunately itself trash. Next is the what's this thing called? I just said it earlier, Gastema, because I was talking to Robot Feed about it. I actually really like the Gastema. I think it fits very, very well with the G-Savior aesthetic. The horns are an interesting take on the V-fin. I really like the style of foot, and the way it like goes in with the general shape of the leg is very in yeah. Not a fan of the shoulders. Yeah, the shoulders are a bit odd. But everything else, these cables, by the way, are for really big fucking beam sabers. The chest is a little odd, but overall, oh, also this style of thruster here, this like fin style, I really like. And that one's gonna go in A. S, please. No, not quite S. This thing. So this was like a mass production Turn A Gundam. We know like nothing about it. It doesn't even have line art. The most common theory, this was shown in like one issue of the Turn A Gundam manga, just to tease the readers, and it was never ever mentioned again. This image is the only one we have of it, and it shows like 3 of them there. The most common theory is that they were made, how do I explain this? Sort of like, so basically the idea was that it would extend the range of the Moonlight Butterfly and amplify the effects of the Moonlight Butterfly, because it probably didn't have its own Moonlight Butterfly system, although it might have also just lacked the Moonlight Butterfly entirely. But it also might have had the Moonlight Butterfly, we just don't know. But most common fan theory is that it was to extend the range of the Moonlight Butterfly and enhance its effects, which I very much agree with. As far as design-wise, I'm not gonna lie, for the most part, it's a slightly less detailed Turn A with a visor and a smaller mustache. But it's still mostly Turn A, so I'll put it top of A. Their Grimoire. This is another of Ipe Gobio being weird. And it being great. This one, I don't know really how much there is for me to say about it. I will say that it's fat pot belly. at first I was not a fan of, but I've since learned to love it. I really like its machine gun. It looks very realistic and utilitarian, which I very much enjoy. It's the like you'd think that the with how they are, the straight lines and the curves would clash, but they're very well placed to where they don't. They interact with each other nicely. Um, this thing definitely looks like something that you'd expect to see from that level of technology, while also being more on the like gritty side of things. And overall, it works really well. The three eyes at the top give it a very unique look to it, as opposed to going for the traditional single swiveling mono eye or the visor, which are both things that G-Reco tended to avoid in favor of odd things like this, which gave us very unique designs that are very enjoyable to look at. And also some that aren't as enjoyable to look at, but we'll get to that later, because this one is very enjoyable to look at. And I'm going to give it top of B. Now comes the time where we must once again talk about G-Savior. By the way, fun fact, I actually haven't watched G-Savior. I really want to, but I have no way of doing so. But apparently even Bandai doesn't want to talk about G-Savior. They just want to forget that it ever happened, which is kind of funny to me. But this is the G-Savior ground type. This configuration looks a lot better than the origin type, which is with no armor packs or anything on it. The bulky shoulders works very well with the head and chest. Because they're like bulky but not large, you know? The backpack is kind of odd, but I can see if it needs to hover. That makes sense. I'm assuming those big skirt armors at the side there, because they're clearly not thrusters. I'm assuming these are like batteries. If so, that seems to be very poor design, since they're gonna, get hit and explode. But other than that, the a highlight for me is the feet look pretty nice. They're somewhat unique, I feel. Overall, I do actually really like the somewhat like sterile white color scheme this thing has. You don't see that often for protagonist mobile suits in Gundam. Just in general, actually, you don't see that very often with protagonist mecha in anime in general. And I'm a really big fan of that. But I don't think I can justify giving this design anything higher than maybe middle of B. Nah, more like bottom of B. And then the space type after that. This I do like more. The big shoulders give it a unique look. You can tell this is a Kuno Okada design that was just before he designed the things for Seed, honestly. These like big thruster front skirt armors are very odd, but I'm not gonna lie, I really do like them a lot. Same with the big side skirt armor thrusters. Best Gundam armor Rafen funnel and double Zeta. That makes sense, but this tier list doesn't go over any of that. This tier list is just for mostly it's for Turn A and Reconquista and G, but I'm also including designs from G-Savior and Gaia Gear because I wanted to bulk out the list a bit. If you want to see me do things from the Grips conflict, like the Double Zeta Gundam, that there's a different stream. I actually should have linked this playlist in the description, and I will do that after the stream. But there's a different stream where I did all the Grips conflict stuff, so Zeta and Double Zeta, and then a different stream yet again where I did Char's Counterattack, Unicorn, Hathaway's Flash, that whole era of Universal Century. So by the point any of the moves in this tier list happen, Amuro is long gone. But this thing I can give much higher, but still not that high. And then finally, something decent from G Savior. And it's not actually from the movie, it's from the video game. The G3 Savior. This, I feel like, kind of fixes a lot of the G Savior's problems. It doesn't have those, like, really, really skinny forearms, or not forearms, biceps that I didn't really like at all. The long rifle that it has is somewhat unique, and I really am liking it a lot. The thrusters all over it in this style are very nice. Very unconventional choice, but they are nice, nonetheless. I do like the way that the chest, like, juts out like that to a point. That looks very nice. The big shoulders are somewhat unique, and they look quite nice as well. The way that the toes kind of point is interesting. You don't see that a lot. I believe this is a beam shield. And in general, I feel like this design was actually a little bit ahead of its time. This is actually something else where I wouldn't be that surprised if I saw it in Armored Core. Other than the head. The head would be very out of place. Well, that's about it. The chest actually is very similar to the Blitz Gundam, now that I think about it. So that's interesting. But I think I will give this bottom of A tier. The Elf Bullock. That's not Bollock, by the way. Bullock. The Elf Bullock is, once again, Ipe Gobio being really weird. And it turns out great. You don't believe that actually exists. Why? But the Elf Bullock is a very interesting design for me. I do like these, like, vents there. The small vents are very interesting. The head is also very interesting. That one, like, fin backwards. And especially the face. That is not something you'd expect to see from anything other than G-Reco. But it's very interesting, and I find myself liking the faces in G-Reco quite a bit. I do also quite like the almost Evangelion-like shoulder pylons here. And I actually quite like the Elf Bullock. It's meant for, it's transformable, meant for long-range combat. I mean, long range is in far away from its mothership. With beams in each of its fingers. Very silly design, but very cool. And I'll put it there. It is Evangelion, yes. Just in general, actually, this almost looks like something you might see in Eva. Yeah. This thing, what was this even called? Wuxia, I believe. Before I continue, one of the opinion on the satellite system Gundam. I love the Gundam X. If I were putting the Gundam X in this tier list, I think I would probably put it in A or B. But in its own tier list, I think I put it in S. If you'd like to watch the Gundam X tier list, I did that just a few days ago. So feel free to check that out. But on the Wuxia, it's a very odd design. I'm going to say right now, I hate the feet. They're kind of massive and weird, and I just really don't like them. And then just in general, honestly, the whole leg setup is just really weird. The pelvis as well is very odd. I sort of like the visor, and I do actually quite like the backpack. And the gun is pretty cool too, but overall, the proportions are really weird. The feet are a bit ugly, yeah. The proportions are really weird, and the entire, like, everything from the waist down is, not good looking in my opinion at all. Reconquista and G tried a lot of very new things, And sometimes they were great, and sometimes they were not great. This is one of the times where they were not great. Next, the Mac Knife, based on the Elf Bullock, which I'm sure one can easily see. I love the Mac Knife. I don't even know why I don't have a high grade of him yet. But it's the way it's like got a somewhat compact feel. The legs are very interesting. You can see the line there where they bend. But all the ball joints with this design actually work very well. The head has like gives like the idea of it being fast and agile. It's got very unique eyes, and they're very large, and I like large eyes. Once again, it's got the beams out of the hand, which in this case means the hand has to be oversized, since the Elf Bullock is kind of massive. It's like 30 meters tall or something, and the Mac Knife is only like 18. The legs are weird, but looks good. Yes, I agree. There was also a mass production version of this. This is not the mass production version. This is the trial version. The mass production version had one eye instead of two, and that was the change. And I do very much enjoy when mass production versions of prototypes look very similar to their prototype version. And this I am going to give... I think I'll put it right here. Or maybe here. No, I'll keep it right there. Upper body is awesome. Yes. Oh, and it does also technically have a mobile armor mode, where it spreads out its legs like wings, then it spreads its arms out like wings too. But we don't need to talk about that right now. Okay, this one was, I think, called the MS Rai. I think. It's also from G-Savior. And there's a bit to unpack here. The proportions are pretty odd. And that's not just the line art. In the CG version, it looks pretty weird too. I do like these cables here and the way the chest like juts out. The head is very interesting with this visor shape, or not visor, but like I think it's for size of the mono eye. These missiles are very cool. The shoulders are very odd though, and why are these protrusions there? I don't like that very much. The proportions are odd, to say the least. Hi, you're busy. Bye. Goodbye. Good luck. Hi. Not in that order. But overall, it's like a lot of the things that this does are nice, but not many of them interact in a very good way. So I'll put it right here. Actually, no, I'll put it here. And then next, my beloved, the J-Savior. I love the J-Savior. It takes everything that I like about the G3 Savior and then makes them better. The shoulders are just a tad different in a very nice way. Mostly, I love the head. I would use that head in Armored Core in a second. The knees, the way they point up a bit more is very nice. And it's just like, this is... There's not that much more to talk about, considering I already mentioned the G3 Savior, which has a very similar body. But I will put this, I think, right now at least, the very bottom of S. Although there's a decent chance of it getting bumped down to the top of A. Okay, back to Turn A's weirdness. The flat. The flat is very weird. It's got like a weird mobile armor mode, but we're not going to talk about that right now. This is definitely a Sid Mead design. Also, high grade flat when? Actually, high grade anything other than the Turn A from Turn A. How does the Turn X have a master grade but not a high grade? I would kill for Bandai to make a high grade Kapool. Ideally, also in the Double Zeta version in those colors. But Kapool, flat, Turn X, and Mahiru. Looks pretty normal, honestly, to you. Nice. Cool. Good. But despite how weird this looks, actually not despite how weird it looks, because of how weird it looks, I actually like it quite a bit. And I'm going to put it... Actually, I'll put it here. I think it is good enough to go in A. Yeah. Next is the Bagoo. Not the Gundam The Origin Bagoo, but the G-Savior Bagoo instead. This thing, for the most part, is a pretty standard Zeonic-looking mobile suit. Honestly, it looks more like a Zaft mobile suit from Seed. It's got the same really weird thing going on with the torso. I don't know why Kuno Kawada was doing that for the G-Savior designs. But he was. It was a thing. It was weird. We've got to live with it. Actually, that describes G-Savior itself pretty well, honestly. But this, like, thruster skirt is also a very interesting design. The head feels a little, like, scrunched. This tall top part is a bit odd, too. I do like the shoulders quite a bit. And the arm's pretty cool. The legs are pretty uninteresting to me, though. And in the context of this tier list, I think that's a good place for it. Okay, this thing, the Polygit. Is that not always looks pretty good? Okawada's designs are usually complement Xeon style designs anyway. Yes, I agree. But this thing is Ipegobio. For right off the bat, I love the head. It is very, very odd, but I love it. It almost looks like it has a fast pack booster from Macross on it there on the back. But the machine gun I also am a big fan of. It's overall it looks very odd, but I'm not sure if that's in it. It's not in a bad way, I don't think. I do believe it does have a mono eye. It's got two like eye sockets. The head in general is very skull shaped. It looks really stupid. Good, very good. That actually sums up my opinions on it perfectly. It's like a skull-like Xeon mobile suit. The only thing I'm really not a fan of is his shield. Like, why is it shaped like that? What's the advantage there? Is there any reason it's shaped like that other than to be weird? But I am going to put it in A, but the bottom of A. Actually, I want to switch these around. Next is the Freedom. No, not the Freedom from the G Gundam manga. Not the ZGMF-X10A Freedom. But rather the RGM-196 Freedom. Another G-Savior design. Once again, can Kuno Kawada please explain why he was doing that? That's really weird. But as far as the head goes, it honestly looks more like a dagger from Seed than a Gym, which, once again, with the timing, this was made in, like, I think the year 2000 exactly. Is it free? Very, I guess. But with that timing, it makes sense that it looks like the dagger, because it's a similar time to when he designed the dagger. But as far as a lot of the, like, shapes, like, these shapes there, it just, like, it sticks out to me. Like, it looks odd, I guess. But the general silhouette looks quite nice. I do like this part here. The shoulders, I'm not sure about. It looks like it should be a heavy mobile suit instead of a general purpose mobile suit, honestly. I do like the feet, though. It has Lift with vibes. A little bit. That's probably mostly the color scheme and the fact that it's somewhat bulky. But I think a big part of it is probably the color scheme. But whereas I do really like Lift with I don't really like this very much. It's very, very boring to me. And I'll put it here. On the other hand, switching over to the bright side of post um, post victory Universal Century with Gaia gear, we have the Zoran Soul. Specifically, this is the late type, I think. Once again, it's got kind of Armored Core vibes, and I really, really, really love it. It helps that this is a similar color scheme to my own. If you just switch all the gold to cyan, this is my color scheme. But I absolutely adore this design. You can definitely tell it's from Gundam, but it's almost like a halfway point between more traditional Gundam designs and designs that are very obviously Gaia gear. It does definitely have that aesthetic. The head almost looks similar to the Netflix version, or not Netflix. It was on Netflix, but the movie version of the Sea Gundam, as opposed to the novel version or the Verka, or that other version or that other version. One of them is the one of the ones that I said that other version was the G Generation version, but I forgot that word. But it's got a similar head with a very, very small faceplate, and I really like that. It's also got very big eyes. And I think the only thing on here that I don't like it more than is the Chadi. Its upper body somehow makes you feel like you have pink eye. Great. Honestly, the upper body is kind of drawn from like the proportion isn't proportioning, or not proportion, but the perspective. The perspective isn't perspectiving on the top half of the body. But still. Next is the G Lucifer. Once again, Ipe Gobio just goes off and does what he wants. This thing has a very odd vibe to it. It's got a very odd mix of straights and curves, but specifically curves. Not, if I were to explain it, the curves on a Zaku are curves of a circle. This is curves of a squiggly line. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. But if it does, great. But I do actually like the design a decent amount. I'm not sure if it's exactly what one would expect from the name G Lucifer. I feel like maybe somebody would expect something more like the G Else, which I also could have put in this video, come to think of it. Perhaps should have, but anyway. Either way, I do like this small vent there, and the overall proportions are not conventional, but very nice. I like this big booster in the back. The horn is nice too. And I think I'll give it right there. This thing, the Kabakali. I actually love this design. The chest looks about as much like a face as the head does, but I like the little V fin there. I really like these boosters here that also are shields. They're great. And then also the leg armor here is very interesting to me. I really like that shape, and it's interesting to see how that would affect the way it's done. And also, look, it's got my favorite mecha trope. Those red fingernails that Advance of Zeta and Netsui Kiba uses. I love that. The feet are an interesting shape, and I feel like it really works for this. Especially since generally it feels like the general shape is for to get smaller as it goes towards smaller as it goes away from the torso. This crest here at the top, I really like. And overall, I will definitely be putting this in A tier. Probably right there. Okay. Actually, I'll do that one first. This thing was called... I remember the other one. That was the Dharma. Oh wait, no, this isn't that. This is the Zax. The one I was trying to think of was, oh, it was the Dahak. But this isn't the Dahak. This is the Zax. Really nice feet. I definitely agree. Very odd, but very nice. This weird vent thing here is... I'm curious what that's... Or, like, why that's there. But it's also... It's got an almost crossbone vanguard-like aesthetic with a head. Really liking that little snout. I really like this, like, thruster in the back. The rifle's also very interesting, but especially with the name Zack. This will never be the high Zack. It's just the Zax. But I do still like it quite a bit. And I wonder if it is referencing the high Zack. Especially with the Zagaki, which we'll get to in a moment. Where will I put this? Probably top of B tier. Before the Dahak, I want to do, or not before the Dharma, I want to do the Dahak. Okay. The Dahak I find to be very interesting. I really like this knee shape, and the foot shape is once again quite interesting. It's got these little cables on the waist that some of the Reconquista and G mobile suits do. The face is very interesting to me. It's almost got something of a V-fin, but not quite. Probably it's got the same purpose as a V-fin. The joints are ball-type joints, which work decently well here. I don't actually remember what these parts there are. But this like plate here behind the like V-fin part is odd, and I would prefer if it wasn't there. I really like these little tiny vents and the way they like wrap around. Very big hands, which is interesting. And I think I would put it probably like here or here, probably here. But it can actually put on armor to become the Dharma. Yes, the Dahak is somehow inside of that. I don't know. But this thing, what is there even to say about this frog creature other than calling it a frog creature? It's like, I feel like this is in some ways meant to be similar to the Big Zam. I do like this like joint here. That's neat. But overall, I am not a fan of this thing. You really enjoy that thing. Great. I'm glad somebody does at least. But I'm going to put it in D tier. Okay, this is the Hecate. I really like that head and face. The sniper rifle is, or not sniper rifle, the Gatling gun is very interesting. Oh yeah, it's got a thing right there. But, very Ipe Gobio. This thing, honestly, looks like a, what is it called? This thing's from Wish for Mercury. Delanza. This thing looks like a Delanza. This is the Universal Century, or I guess technically Reguild Century, Delanza. I like it a decent amount. The cockpit is very interesting to me. I think I'll put it here. Okay. Next, the Mazraster. It's got a crazy face. The feet are odd, and I'm not sure I like it in this case. The shoulders, I don't know if they really go with the rest of the design. I do actually really like this chest. It's almost Crossbone Gundam-like, but much, much slimmer. These, like, giant bulges there at the arms, though. Why? I don't like them at all. These are nice thrusters though, and I like the addition of these shields to protect the head on the shoulders. Well, there's not that much else to talk about it, but there is still putting it right here, or maybe here, or maybe even here. Okay, this thing. This is the king of Ipegobio just doing weird shit, and it just, like, working so fucking well. It's like, so this thing's got, like, very skeletal vibes, but in some ways it's also bug-like, but then in other ways it's also monkey-like. And all three of those come together to make something beautiful. This thing is so weird, but it's so great. Honestly, this looks like it would be an enemy in Crossbone Gundam. That's how odd it looks to me. The feet, I'm not a big fan of. But look at his head. Look at his arms. Look at his gun. They're all so great. That shield is interesting, too. I do like the thrusters on the shoulders. The way the pelvis is put together is interesting. If this thing has a kit, I bet it would be a really interesting build. But I'm going to put it in bottom of A. Or maybe more like that. Okay. Get out of there. It is now the G-Arcane, I believe. Yeah. I really like this rifle, first of all. The rifle is very, very good, and it goes very well with the overall aesthetics of the show, and especially of the G-Arcane as a whole. The chest vents are very interesting, and overall the chest shape I really like. The head is also quite nice, especially the big eyes. This backpack part there is great. The legs have that sort of way that all the parts, like, blend together, sort of. That a lot of the Reconquista and G mobile suits do, which I'm a big fan of. It gives it a somewhat, like, compact look. The big hands are odd, but they really work in the G-Arcane's case, and the V-fin is very, very cool as well. Apparently, if I remember correctly, it was just called the Arcane before they saw the G-Self and saw it look kind of similar, so they started calling it the G-Arcane instead. This thing will go there. Also, I think I want to move this thing down to C. The Montero. The Montero is actually one of my favorite designs. This, like, head piece there, it kind of reminds me of Gaelio Baldwin's mask. When he's Vidar in Iron-Blooded Orphans. But I think it works a lot better on a mobile suit than on a guy's face. It's got that same sort of, like, ball thing as, or a ball chest thing as some of the other Reconquista and G mobile suits. But that, like, protrusion there at the front makes all the difference to me, and makes it look a lot nicer in my opinion. I do also really like these, like, binders there. It looks wonderful both ways. I don't like Gaelio's mask very much. I think it looks kind of stupid. But here it looks great. The feet also are one of my favorite parts of this design. I'm a big fan of those feet. And then also the knees are pretty cool too. Just in general, the legs are quite nice. The rifle is also very interesting and very nice. And overall, I'll put it here. No. Yeah. That's better. Back to turn A for a bit. The Cannon Ifuleto. this one's a Junior Ishigaki design, and you can kind of tell for sure. But I'm not sure. A lot of people seem to think this comes from Universal Century in canon. I don't think it does. I think it came sometime after Universal Century and just bears a passing resemblance to it. But apparently, this is what we know about it is that it's a canon version of the normal Ifuleto, which we never see, which I wish we did see, especially because I'd be able to put it on here. But there's like a beam saber emitter there, which I really like that design of there being a beam saber emitter in the shield. Very nice. These shoulders are very odd, but that's like my only critique. The way that the chest like just forward looks nice. The head looks a bit odd, but it works. I really like the design for that cannon. And then this part here is very Junior Ishigaki, these like skirt armor things, and it works very well for this design. The legs are odd, but they work well with turn A, and overall the design is somewhat reminiscent of Sid Mead's works, which is almost definitely intentional. Now, where to put it? Top of B sounds great. Now we get to talk about this thing. Yep. Savor it. Take it in. It's called the Neodu. Don't you love it? This thing is so weird. I do like the feet. They're very interesting and unique, and I think it worked out really well. But why is this Gundam wearing a very strange mask? And then also the chest doesn't make very much sense to me at all. What are these things at the side there? If they were like incoms, that'd make sense, but they're not, as far as we see anyway. The shoulders are pretty nice. The hands are very nice. But like, I can't get over that face. The proportions are pretty odd too. If a creature was a mobile suit, that was it. That kind of looks like a security helmet from Halo Reach. I wouldn't know because I only played the first like mission of Halo Reach, because my friend accidentally put it. Actually, that was Robot Feet. Robot Feet accidentally put it on Legendary difficulty. Which, fun fact, since until much later, I thought that I just sucked at Halo, but I couldn't get past it because of that. Anyway, because we were playing together. This is gonna go in D. It's gonna go at the top of D, but D nonetheless. You didn't? Huh? Did I? Anyway, regardless, I was playing on Legendary. None of them was it heroic, but that you made it. Okay, heroic. Well, I forgot the names of the difficulties because, you know, I only played one part or one episode of the game. But if I made it, that's just great. Anyway, regardless, I didn't get very far. I need to go back and play it again. But right now, I don't have a working Xbox. Wait, I actually don't want that to be there. That one should go first. The Gazo. Or Gazo? Yeah, Gazo. So this part actually reminds me of the Hyzak Custom. But not as cool. The arms are very, like, big and blocky and, like, really, really weird. And they've got missile launchers in them. This rail cannon is interesting. But, this is supposedly a ground combat mobile suit. It's supremely odd. It's so weird. And I can't... It's such a creature, but I don't really like it. I'll put it right here. No, because it does have its own charm, so I'll put it... Actually, I'll put it here. Top of C. But when they tried to repair it, they didn't have the parts, so they changed that for anti-air machine gun. They gave it, quote, Borjarnon-based arms. And these very, very strange feet,
Well, by the way, the shorter arms and the larger feet make it actually better as a ground combat mobile suit. But it also makes it look even weird, and especially the way that they decided to have the line art like fucking looking at you. It looks like he's about to beat the shit out of you. It looks like he's saying, "The fuck you say to me?" Um, and it's called the Godwin, by the way. The Godwin is even more of a creature, but I like it less. But they're very similar. So yeah. Now, another strange creature, um, the Recten. Specifically, these are the training colors, but um, this thing I almost get slightly like Jagan vibes from this, in some ways. But overall, this is a civilian mobile suit meant for training purposes, so it's not that effective at killing people. This part here is interesting to me. And the backpack's pretty interesting. But overall, there's not that much to say. A lot of it's kind of basic, and a lot of it is like very weird, and I'm not a fan. So I'm gonna put it, I think, here. Now this thing, the am I gonna have to actually look? Yeah. Let me close that down. Um okay. Ah. The Trinity. So for one, that's an armored core ass head. Second thing that pops up in my head is, why does he have a third leg? Does he have a third leg, or is he just happy to see me? um, I do like the fingers on the hand, but then the arms are really weird again, and the hand is really weird too. And the shoulders are a very odd shape, kind of like weird, like a misshapen, lumpy kind of shape. What purpose do these such silly creatures serve? Well, G-Reco tried out a lot of new things, and a lot of them worked and were really cool, and a lot of them did not. And the same goes for Turne. But this, I'm just like, I don't like it. Here's a good place for it. And then so this thing, like, the very first thing that comes to my mind with the Guion, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't remember for certain. It might have been, it was either Guion or Gaon. Is that he looks like a transformer a little bit. I think it's mostly the face, because it's just a visor, but it usually is pretending to be a Gundam. I do really like the V-fin. The knees are very nice, and the rifle is very nice. The backpack, the whole like giant hand backpack thing is odd, but it looks very nice. Beautiful head, very much so. The chest actually is where I think it shines the most. These two parts jutting out in between this like inner part, yeah. But for such an odd design, there's not that much to say about it. I do really like these feet though, and I think it'll go here. That sounds good. Let me take a look at this in full screen again. Yeah, this being here sounds good. Okay, next, this is from Build Fighters, but I wanted to include it here because I said so. And it's my tier list, so I get to do what I want. This is the Turn A Gundam Shin. So this is one of the Turn A Gundam light redesigns. So this is mostly Turn A. So obviously I still like it quite a bit. But I'm going to be honest, every single change was a downgrade. Every single one. I did really want the high grade of this, but I wanted it to build it as the Turn A and then just have spare parts. Why he looks like applesauce, I don't know. But yeah, it's like you took the Turn A and then you just made it worse. You made it less Turn A. Which is great for people who don't like the Turn A, but if you don't like the Turn A, why are you starting from the Turn A? But anyway, now we have the Zanzgat. The Zanzgat's head is already really weird. It looks like a heavy type armored core head that I would never ever use. Actually, just in general, this looks like a heavy armored core. The only part that I really like about this is the rifle. Other than that, it's just so many things on this that I don't really like, such as the way that the knee is like the way they go out. I don't like that. The coloring, the way the color is done here on the chest, I don't really like. Also, the way the shoulders jut out. I do like the way this thruster there and the way they go down like that. That's nice. But they're a bit big for the rest of it, in my opinion. And then I really don't like these feet. So overall, it's just really not my type of design, and I'll put it right here. Or maybe more like here. Now for everybody's favorite, the Zagaki. Not to be confused with the Zagaki, the Zagaki with a Y at the end. It's like Zagok, but with a Y at the end. This thing is very silly. But I unironically, even apart from it being silly, actually like this. It's got nice big claws. Very aquatic looking, which is probably good considering it's aquatic. The head is kind of odd. Germa robot. That is so true. I wouldn't have even thought of that. You know what? Because you said that, it gets S tier. It doesn't actually get S tier, though. But it does actually get B tier. Whoops. I clicked off of it. You guys can still see it as normal, but I couldn't see it right then. Alright. Okay, now for the Eye Savior. So, somebody said, hey, what if we took the G-Savior origin and then made its problems worse? Recolor in German color sometime, please. Okay, I will. And I'll post it on the Germanite 5 subreddit. And I'll tag Jerma on Twitter. See if he likes it. He won't respond to it. But anyway, I'll do that at some point. But, so, first of all, why? Second of all, why? These feet, like, I'm glad they tried something new. You guys can't really see them. Let me move it so you can see the crazy, stupid feet. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, just no. The legs are, like, very, 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 very skinny. And what the hell is going on here at the torso? What is happening? Why is it like that? What is he gonna do when like, it gets hit with one stray Vulcan and, like, ruptures that piston? What is he gonna do? And then it's got the problem of, like, the limbs are, like, very, very skinny, whereas the torso isn't. I hate this thing. That's a good place for it.
Okay, the Kapool, which I think I actually already had in the Double Zeta one, which means he gets a second chance because it's literally just the Double Zeta Kapool with the different color scheme. And also, it has guns on the hand that are not pictured here. And once it used the Gundam hammer. Anyway, this is a silly thing. I would say to it, why so circle? I do like the claws quite a bit. These missile launchers are very interesting. I can sort of like fold up into a ball for aquatic um, movement, which is nice. Kapool is a fighter. So true. I actually do really like this part here. And, by the way, this arm is not longer than this arm. This arm is just extended, and this arm is, like, not extended. This arm can extend the same way this one is. But other than that, there's not too much to say about it. Other than I do think that they were right in choosing the Kapool, because it really does fit with the aesthetics of Turn A Gundam quite well. And I'll put it in B. You think J. Jonah Jameson would pilot it? I don't think he would pilot anything. Okay, the Turn A. I mean, Turn X. The Turn X was apparently Sid Mead's favorite design from Turn A Gundam. This thing is very strange. To start with the chest, which apparently used to be a solid piece before that X-shaped scar and also the center part were inflicted by the Turn A. The legs are also very odd. At first glance, it's really hard to tell what's going on with the design. It looks kind of messy until you start to actually, like, sort of figure it out. It's easier to see when you see it in animation or in model kit form. The, like, weird hand here is interesting and cool, and also has the shining finger. No relation to this to the Shining Gundam, but it does still have the shining finger for some reason. My personal guess on that is that that piece of equipment that now serves as its arm was originally from Neo Japan. But yeah, this thing it's very interesting, and I do actually like it quite a bit. But it's also very odd. And I think I'll give it A tier. Like here. Or maybe more like here. Come on. Stop that. Okay, the Mahiru, which I was very surprised when they announced it for Gundam Evolution. Because I thought I was the only one who cared about the Mahiru. So this is a design that I actually really love. To start with, these blades on the arms are beautiful. As is this Tordile shield, which has a beam cannon in it. I really, really, really like the feet. Overall, this is a great design. It just kind of doesn't look like it's from Gundam. But that's not really a bad thing, I don't think. Because it does still fit in the universe. You just wouldn't immediately guess, oh, that's from Gundam, right? If you didn't know. The head is the oddest part. But it does manage to somehow fit decently well with the rest. Other than that, there's not that much to say. This shoulder armor is a little odd. But it's fine. It still goes right here. Or maybe more like here. Okay, next is the Borjarnon. Let me actually maybe make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see all the tier list more properly, including what's coming up next. There we go. And at the same time, I'll do the Boryonon custom. So you might ask why I included this, because that's literally just a Zaku and a Zaku 1. But, and this is going to sound crazy at first, is it though? So, this is Zaku 2 billion, wow. So, I'm sure at first I just sound absolutely insane, as, like, yeah, that's obviously a Zaku 2. And this is obviously a Zaku 1. They even carry over their original model numbers of MSO5 and MSO6, respectively. However, I would like to make the claim that these are not, in fact, Zakus. Specifically, I would like to say that these are no Zaku, boy. No Zaku. So, Exhibit A. People may remember the Zaku's cockpit opening by this segment here sliding up into the segment here, at which point the pilot can come out through there from the off-center cockpit, which I believe will be the same in the Zaku 1. That is not how the cockpit opens. This shows the cockpit opening with this entire center part here folding up, and then this entire part there folding down, and then a cockpit opens up from the center. And now you might say, oh, well, some other shows have showed Zaku's with cockpits that opened differently than First Gundam. The real Zaku 50. Yeah, indeed. So you would be right about that. Exhibit B. These cables. What are they doing there? The Zaku 1 does not have any power cables anywhere, actually. And furthermore, it doesn't have any on the chest, but it does have these suspicious-looking pieces of armor that are not present on the Zaku 1, and could easily be used to hide cables. And it actually isn't on the legs, but you know what? And then we'll get to that in a moment. And finally, Exhibit C. We see both the Boryonon, aka Zaku 2, and the Boryonon Gavin Goonie Custom, aka Zaku 1, hovering above water. We are explicitly told several times in the Universal Century that the Zaku 1 and 2 cannot do that. They cannot hover above water at all. So, I would like to suggest that these are rather some other mobile suit, which was very easily obtainable, even by civilians, as well as having power cables in the head and chest, but not leg, and looked similar to the Zaku. These are Hyzax. Every bit of evidence fits up completely perfectly, including the Hyzax cockpit opens from the center, and the Hyzax can, in fact, hover above water. So I think that these are Hyzax that were purchased by a collector and modified to appear similar to a Zaku 1 and 2 for a mobile suit collection. I've talked to several people about this, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to convince me otherwise. But as far as the actual rating, honestly, also wanting to talk on stream about the fact that these are probably Hyzax is honestly the reason that I included them in this tier list. But it's a classic design. You can't go wrong with it. And B tier is a great place for it. For both of them, actually. And then now, the Egael. This thing is so crazy. For one, it's got a tail. For two, it's got a giant head that isn't actually used for like sensors or anything. The sensors are down here on the like chin, not chin, on the like collar. The head extends to be used as a club, and it's got a running form where the head like the basically the spine moves up through the body a bit to make the tail shorter and the head longer, or the neck longer, and it assumes a form similar to a theropod dinosaur. However, I actually do really like these shoulders a lot, and these skirt armors, as well as the arms. So I will actually give it a position there. Okay, and now the Katsith. This thing is considerably more Jagan-like. In fact, this thing is, like, very similar to the Jagan. To the point where I think that they based this on the, at that point, several thousand-year-old Jagan. But it's got some interesting things, particularly the head is pretty interesting to me. The feet are also somewhat interesting, but there's not much to talk about there. But as far as the head, it gives a very different vibe than the Jagan's visor. And I honestly, I like it quite a bit. It looks very nice. The cockpit is very interesting, and I'm not entirely sure if that opens up or down. But I should probably rewatch Reconquista and G to find out, especially because I want to rewatch it anyway. But the jetpack backpack is also very interesting. But there's, once again, not that much to talk about regarding it. But I would say that gets... B tier. No, let's put it there. Next is the Bandit. This one is... Well, so for one, it's definitely a Sid Mead design. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. I don't really like this one. It's got an almost like steampunk aesthetic, almost. Not quite, but like I said, almost. And I'm not really vibing with it. And then the armor, I don't think that's the original shape of the armor. I think those like holes in it are from the armor degrading. Considering this is a Dark History mobile suit. But either way, I'm not personally a fan. But, you know, they were trying new things and seeing what works, and it just turns out this one doesn't. And it's because of that going to be put right there. And another Universal Century mobile suit, the Zissa, although at this point it was called the Zissan, and features a redesign by Sid Mead. I do like the redesign, and I feel like it really fits with Turn A's aesthetic quite well. And I think picking the Zissa was a good choice. But I can't say I'm really that big of a fan. Most of the criticisms that I offer as to why I personally don't really like the Zissa also apply to the Zissan. If anybody would remember back to my Double Zeta tier list. But yeah. I will put it higher than the Bandit. Probably there. No, just higher than the Bandit. The Wodom, the Walking Dome. Specifically, this is the Model U. I actually remember I was watching a video by Kakarot197 about the meanings of model numbers. And he said that he could not figure out what the meaning behind the Wodom's model number is. It's a JMA 0530. But JMA is what Neo Japan in G Gundam uses for their mobile armors. So I think this is a G Gundam Neo Japan mobile armor originally. But apart from that, it is once again definitely Sid Mead's handiwork. One can tell that very easily. I actually do like it quite a bit. The black, silver, and red color scheme is very interesting. Not what you'd typically expect. The ball joints, once again, in this instance work quite well. Sid Mead knows when to use those and when not to, I suppose. The feet joints are very interesting to me, and I really like them. These were the way that they were used cinematically in the start of Tournai was great, in my opinion. I really liked it. And I'm actually very surprised we don't have a model kit of this. What with the, what was it called? The Wodom Pod from Build Fighters. That and the Kapool, with the, Momo Kapool, makes me wonder if Bandai's getting ready to finally release some Tournai high grades. But they're probably worried about them selling, because a lot of people don't like a lot of the Tournai designs, citing that they are too weird. But personally, I do like the Wodom quite a bit, despite the fact of how odd it is, and I think that's a good place for it. Okay, now the Bellona. Did I forget the mobile rib? Damn it. Oh well, technically it's not even a mobile suit. Did I forget it? Yeah. That's fine. I don't even know where I put that. But this thing is a lot smaller than your typical mobile suit. A typical mobile suit. I can speak, I promise. And it's... I don't even actually remember what exactly this is for, but it is technically still a mobile suit, I think. But it uses that same spine system as the Agale. And it's... I do like the feet for what it is. I think those feet would look terrible on, say, something like the Gundam or a Zaku's size. But for what it is, I think the feet do their purpose in the design quite well. The joints are interesting, and overall, just the idea of this is a very interesting idea, and I don't think it could have been carried out much better, except for, of course, the 2 times that it was in Gundam 0080 and Char's Counterattack, respectively. Although I think in those cases they technically weren't exactly counted as mobile suits. Whereas this time it technically is. And also I had more stuff for those times, so. But for this, I'm going to put it here. No, here. Actually, here. Riga, yes. Indeed, the Draken E, or as you like to call it, Riga. Okay, the Silver Sumo. I mean, Gold Sumo. I mean, the Silver Sumo and Gold Sumo are the same as base design, just the Gold Sumo is colored gold instead of the typical silver coloration. Either way, the Sumo. Um, Sumo is another very odd design that a lot of people don't like. Uh, Interestingly, this was the prototype design for the Turn A. Not in universe, but out of universe. That was then reworked into the Sumo after being rejected for being too weird. Um, it's pretty bulky, but I actually really, really like this design. Um, I like this shape here. I don't know exactly how to like describe this, like this sort of shape that's got going on there. And then in general, the way that its armor is shaped, it's like it's very flowing, you know. I don't really like the fact that the way this is like all like curved and rounded, but what you gonna do? And I will put it. Whoops. Bottom. Well, no, I'll put it top of A and move him up to S. Next is the Mutuo. This one's an interesting case. I have very mixed feelings about it. On one hand, it's like pelvis looks like a car because it transforms. I do like the torso and arms and shoulders pretty well. The head's kind of odd, but I like it well enough. But then the feet, I'm just not really a fan of at all. It's interesting that out of all things to base something on, they would pick the bound dock from Zeta, which it seems to be inspired by and probably in universe based off of. A lot of people have suggested that this was a an experimental Titans thing before getting, you know, eaten by the Moonlight Butterfly. This actually seems like a decent place to talk about that. I don't think a lot of people. So a lot of people seem to think that Turn A is like technically Universal Century, but I sort of feel like Turn A is its own alternate universe, and the power of the Moonlight Butterfly sort of brought in things from other universes. Like broke reality, so that the I brought in say things from like G Gundam and Universal Century. That's the way I like to view it. Because like for instance, like I don't really see how Universal Century and Wing, that is Cosmic Era or not Cosmic Era, After Colony can possibly happen in the same universe. But anyway, I do think the sword that it has is pretty cool, and this waist is done nicely. I'll put it there, but I'll move him up to there because I feel like he deserves to be there. Yeah, that works. But I will put those there and that there. Yeah. And lastly, this thing, the walking dumpling, or sometimes called the wad, or sometimes called the armadillo, because why not? This thing is such a scrunkly. It's like very small compared to a mobile suit. I mean, this entire area here is the cockpit, or rather, it's very small compared to a typical mobile suit. But it's got several interesting things. I really like the arms, and then it's got that the shoulders are pretty neat. The feet I think are great for what the design is. The spine is interesting, and I think it complements the overall design of the suit very well. And I also really like these machine guns here. These almost look like something you might see in Metal Gear, actually. But it's a very unique design, and I actually do really like it. Um, let's see. Where do I want to put this? Probably here. Maybe like, actually, that and that and that. Maybe? Hmm. Okay, I think this might be looking good. For the overall tier list. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, this is how it's going to end out. I will be posting this in my Discord server and on Twitter, and probably Reddit, I guess. But yeah, you guys got to see it happen in real time, so aren't you lucky? um, but tomorrow, I sort of do and sort of don't have a stream planned. Tomorrow's stream is, I do have one set to happen, but it's just like, I just have it set as a girl stream sometime. I don't know what it's going to be, don't know when it's going to be. I actually don't know for certain if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it's going to be on Twitch. And let me check my schedule and see when it's most likely to happen. Hmm. It's probably pretty likely to happen at a time around when today's stream happened. I wasn't supposed to put a time for that stream, but I did on the thing, so. Fake tier list once again. Cool. But yeah. Thanks for watching. I have other Gundam tier lists. This is part of a series where I'm taking Gundams from every series. This one has 2 series, but the next one, for instance, will just be Seed and Seed Destiny, but it'll also include things like Seed side stories, but it's going to be all of the Cosmic Era timeline next time. I did break up UC into several different parts because it's massive, but most of them will only be one timeline per stream, and it'll be the entire timeline for that stream. So the next one is going to be a much longer stream, probably like 3 hours, because it's going to be all of the Seed mobile suits. So look forward to that. And if you'd like to watch the earlier ones, feel free. That would be very cool. And at the end of doing all of these, I'm going to take the S tiers from every tier list. Actually, I might want to put that there. Yeah. I'm going to take the S tiers from every tier list and make a final one that'll have just the S tiers from each one. So all of these will be in the final one, but none of these. Actually, no. That doesn't matter that much. Anyway, oh yeah, also I have a link to my Discord server down in the description if you'd like to join. That'd be great. I have a channel for like suggestions there if you'd like to make any suggestions, or you can get live notifications from there. And also, if you just like to chat, that's the best place to do it. Also, I have my link tree in there if you'd like to follow me on other social media platforms such as Twitter. And yeah, Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. And also, I want to say again, because it's still the case that it happened. A few streams ago, we reached 100 subscribers, so that was great. And thanks a lot for that. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.